So last night I saw Shutter Island for the first time. This is gonna be this video review is also gonna be like a first reaction type thing. So Shutter Island. I like to give my backstories with films just because I think those are interesting and you can see other people's perspective when they walk into films. So this movie I almost saw in theaters, right? And I was a young person at this time. This movie, I don't know how old it is, but I think it's earlier than 2010, maybe it's around that time. 2010, let's just say. So I would have been 12, 11, maybe a little bit more or less. Um, so this movie, I was not old enough to go to when, because I think my mom dropped me off at the theater with my brother, and we went in to see Shutter Island, and then we both got denied going into the film, which I'm pretty sure it's rated R or whatever. So we were just kind of like, fuck. And we went to see, there was only two other movies that we were old enough to see that were like within the time frame that we need to be. And they were Valentine's Day and When in Rome. We got tickets to see When in Rome, and then we walked out of the movie theater after a couple minutes. Not the best movie experience ever, but I will say, um, seeing Shutter Island now, damn good movie. Your Leo, probably one of, if not my favorite actors ever. He just does great work. That's like what an actor does. Their best job is to act, and he does everything in his power possible to do that. And he loses himself into these characters. And Martin Scorsese, you know, the boy, directing this film, and it stars a U.S. Marshal who goes onto an island to investigate a missing prisoner or patient because it's a mental institution. And slowly he just kind of gets caught up in the case himself, and he starts to think, oh, am I losing my mind? And I will be going into spoilers after this. Just know Shutter Island is a damn good movie. And there's a big twist. Be ready for that and fun times. But anyway, spoilers ahead. So, Leo DiCaprio goes through this movie, and I already was expecting a twist just because I heard people offhand like, oh, like the twist in Shutter Island. And I watched it with my girlfriend who also said there was a twist. So, I was ready for this big twist. And personally, I was kind of expecting something like what happened. I was thinking, oh, how are they? I was like, is he just gonna be, you know, an insane person, or this is something like Inception or something like that, like some kind of twist, like his wife, yada yada yada. And it turns out his wife was the person who killed his children, started a fire, and yada blah. He's been a patient here for 2 years. He's just having hallucinations up the ass from the medicine, and because he's fucking crazy and he's trying to block out the shit that he did. And then the big ending where he gets his shit back to normal after this big revelation, and following that, he try to fix his camera. He says, you know, he's like back to his old way. He's like, I'm a U.S. Marshal again, and then the guy is like, oh, take him to get the lobotomy. He failed the final test, but then he was like, thanks, Doc, which means he actually got his shit together, but went along so they could cut that shit out of his brain with his memories. And, you know, they said they didn't want him to hurt anybody. This was actually a very safe institution all along. And you can kind of pencil in like little things, like some parts obviously that had to been part of the hallucinogens, and some other parts just like the way his partner talks to him, just kind of like a doctor talking to a patient, like, yeah, boss, yeah, like playing along. Like that seems to be his tone throughout the movie, and that kind of I liked how that made sense in the long run. And just these little parts that would be missing from the island, like who's this doctor? Why are they not there? Where is this fucking Andrew? I've I forget the movie, the guy's name, his actual name, Andrew something. And it all lines up. Oh, you're that guy. The missing guy is actually your doctor. Like he obviously had to erase some of this shit out to fit his story. Um, and he thinks he's going around, he's just a patient. He's running around, oh, I'm a U.S. Marshal. And they played along for this big experiment type thing, which I think is a stupid twist. I mentioned this in my review for Riddle Room. I hate these kind of fucking twists that are just like, oh, we played along for your story. It's like, fuck that shit. Like, a twist should, like, make all the sense in the world, and you shouldn't be unwriting things. Like, certain scenes in this movie, oh, he obviously was just hallucinating that entire fucking scene, so it's useless. Like, they try to present this fake narrative to sweep the rug under you, and I think that's bullshit. Like the Sixth Sense kind of twists, the Saw twists, the movie I just saw, fucking Get Out, perfect example of how a twist should be. They should make the entire movie become a double meaning, not like, oh, this is the new meaning, fuck that other shit you saw. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So in that regard, I think the twist worked, but they should have done some shit beforehand to make it better. You know, and ultimately, like, this movie isn't like this big thing. I thought it was like this kind of like little personal story of like a guy who goes crazy, blah blah blah. It reminded me like a mixture between Memento and Inception. And both those movies I love, but this is like the mediocre parts of those movies like coming into one. It's like what, because this movie is dark, it's damp, it's gritty as fuck. Like, and to me, movies, I prefer fun movies. I prefer lighthearted shit, I think happy, sad movies are, I'm not this, like, gritty, like, in this sad place. I don't know what I'm saying. But I like movies that are dark the entire time, and then there's no characters to really latch on to. Like in this movie, as great as Leo is, he's not like this character I'm like rooting for, or even like with this sad story about his kids and his wife. I'm just kind of like, there's not like some to like pick me up and be like, yeah, movies, fuck yeah. They're just kind of like, damn, that was good. I don't think this is a great movie. I thought it was an interesting movie and it was a little interesting think piece, but and Leo does his damn good job. Like this movie worked, everything worked for what it was, but ultimately, like, I don't see the bigger, like, what do I get out of this? Like with Memento, I got that. With Inception, I got that. With Get Out, I got that. There's that, peace that you hold on to. It lifts you up. You're like thinking about it like for days on end. You get that movie high. You feel good. And even though the characters like in Inception or something, they're not like great, like likable characters, but they're interesting. They're psychological, and ultimately they're not just characters based around this sweeping under your feet that this movie does. But maybe that's just me. I'm sure a lot of people love this movie, and maybe there's a few people who hate it. I didn't really see the reception before I did this. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Shutter Island. Tell me what you guys thought of the movie down below. Get a discussion going. That's always great. And that's about it. That's all I got for this one. Thank you so much for watching. And with that, I leave you.